Hello and welcome to this video going over my redesigns of all of the F tier flags and CPG Gray's US state flag tier list video. But before we begin, just like in his video, we have to set some ground rules. Now if you noticed before, there was an asterisk on screen when I said all of the F tier flags. There it was again. That is for the following three reasons. One is that Minnesota already redesigned their flag. Two is for the flags that don't need to actually be redesigned, instead just having to remove their name, those being Indiana, which he did in his video, along with Arkansas, or the seal for Wyoming, which he also showed in his video. Third is that I just felt like I could redesign some of the flags in D and C tiers, which also made up for the ones that won't be redesigned as mentioned. Also, one final point on rules. I obviously followed the rules of flag design that Gray laid out, but also used existing flag designs as precedent for what would be acceptable or not when towing the line. And much like his video, I will be putting my redesigns on where they go on the tier list. And we will be going in order of appearance in Gray's video, which means first up is Kansas. I like that we get to do this one early, as there are plenty of states that don't have much going for them in terms of outstandingly unique traits outsiders will think of, and Kansas is one of those. Then doing a small bit of research, I discovered that Kansas is a sunflower state and just went with it. So there is a sunflower that also doubles as a sun with Kansas' star in the Union inside, rising over the plains and waters of Kansas. The sunflower has 34 petals for when Kansas joined the Union. The sunflower isn't the best, as someone had made a better one, so I had to make mine different enough, but it's obviously worse. But I'd still give this flag a C for Kansas. Next up, Montana. Can't have bad kerning if you don't have writing. As far as I know, Montana is kind of rough, middle of nowhere country with horses. And since other states feature an animal prominently on their design, I decided to put a horse on this flag, along with Montana's star in the Union, which I didn't want to be plainly colored, so I took the star design from Mississippi's flag and filled it with segments of color to match Montana's state seal. And the triangle at the bottom is to kind of balance it out. It also sort of acts as a mountain in the otherwise flat landscape as well. And honestly, I think it looks really neat, and I'd give it an S. Now for Wisconsin. This is the first of a few where my plan was to go with what Gray said would be a good direction for the flag. For Wisconsin, that was cheese. I also went with wheat because of beer. Don't blame me, that is what you're known for, Wisconsin. Also, the seal on the cheese that contains your star in the Union has 30 points on it to represent you being the 30th state in the Union. As far as my design, I'd give it an S. And now we move on to California. I got rid of all that unnecessary detail for the realism of the old bear. It's still the same bear, but now it's just a golden silhouette of the bear, which means you can't see if it's sad or not through its gilded exterior, much like the state itself. It also has California's star in the Union inside of it, and the flag is really just an improvement of what already existed, so instead of FA, it's now just A. Moving on to the Dakotas. I again just went with Gray's suggestion and used the spiky sun element, which lent itself to pursuing a sort of American Indian style, and the flags are mirror images of each other except for the color schemes. North Dakota ended up being a night sky and aurora, and for the south, Mount Rushmore and some trees. These ones kind of grew on me in between when I made them and recorded this. South Dakota you get a B, and North Dakota you get an A, only because I like your color scheme more. Moving on to Nebraska. There wasn't really much to work with. I mean, all you got is corn, a lot of corn, but it's corn. It's not terrible, so C for corn. Next up, Vermont. Look, when I think of Vermont, I think of maple syrup, which would obviously lead to the use of a maple leaf. However, Canada exists on your border, in fact, so measures had to be taken to make it not Canada, which meant the star to go with the leaf, and also deer antlers since your seal has a deer above it. The star idea with the leaf works, but as far as the antlers, I don't really know. The more I look at it, the more intrigued I get, but I'm not sure if that's good or bad intrigue. But hey, by Gray's rules, this would at least pass, so D tier. Maine. When I think of you, I think of lobsters, but also lighthouses. I wasn't going to do both, and lighthouses allowed for this, with its red and white stripes both being much lighthouse and much America, and it just happened to work out with the beacon of light on the dark waters, making a tricolor of sorts. And if I got a lobster from Maine and it came in a box with this flag on it, I'd think it's an A tier lobster. So, A tier flag. New Hampshire. The only thing I knew about you was that on your quarter, the design for your state was a mountain that looks like a face, so there you go. I put 9 stars in the colonial circle arrangement as you are the 9th state, and it evolved into a design branching out from that circle of stars. Also, gray is a unique color on flags, and I think it looks pretty good. I'd give it an S. Connecticut. I knew nothing about your tiny state and still really don't. All I got was grapes. At least the purple is more of a unique color on a flag. It's still a simple design as well, so B tier. Michigan. Cars because Detroit, but I'm not going to put a car on a flag. So you just get a bunch of angled lines for speed. Still looks like a flag and it looks fine. B tier. Missouri. Now this flag wasn't F tier in Gray's list, it was D tier, but it was such a softball I couldn't pass it up. The bear and the moon from your seal had the same blue and red behind them as the tricolor, so I just kind of took that and got rid of the rest of the seal, and now it's an S tier flag. Speaking of simplifying seals, Massachusetts. All I need to do is show the old flag next to this one and we can see what I mean. It's simple, it works, A tier. Kentucky. Much like Montana, I thought of horses in the end. But since I already put a horse on Montana's flag, I wasn't going to do it again. Plus, your horses aren't as wild as Montana's. When people think of your horses, it's more of on a racetrack. So I kind of just took a piece of the track from the Kentucky Derby and made it into a simple stripe pattern that kind of somewhat resembles the shape of your state by pure coincidence. And I kept that roundness going in the corner with a quarter circle instead of a square to hold your star in the Union. I'd give it a B. Pennsylvania. You're the state most associated with the Revolution, so I went in that direction. You have the 13 stars from the original colonies in the corner along with the 2 white stripes underneath to signify you being the second state, plus the Liberty Bell to fill out this Much America flag. But much like when I say America, the A is missing, so it's a B. Virginia. My priority was to kind of keep that badass symbolism of violence and murder. So there is a broken crown and a pool of red to symbolize the defeat of the British crown along with the purple that you used in your state seal. Your star in the Union is rising from the remains of the crown, which the symbolism is good, but the swords and also the purple don't really work, so D tier. Delaware. Much like Pennsylvania, you are tied to the Revolution, but only because you keep having to remind everyone that you're the first state. So I kind of leaned into that really heavily, so you get your star largely in the center, surrounded by the 12 others of the original 13, plus the 13 stripes of red and white to full send the Much America of this. But it's still C tier. And now for the eyes portion of the video, Idaho being first among them. Honestly, I just threw the shape of the state on there and it just worked, and it kind of gives off a similar vibe to Panama's flag. Your star in the Union features a potato gold color in the center, and potatoes are an A tier vegetable, so this is an A tier flag. Iowa. In Gray's video, you were in the high F tier category because your blemish was writing your name, but unlike Indiana and Arkansas, I felt like I had to fill the empty space with something. Also, I simplified your eagle because I was too lazy. So you go from FA to not quite A. For me, it's more like a B, but if I had not been lazy, it probably would have been an A. And now, Illinois. Look, much like Gray was disappointed at his home state of New York, I was disappointed with your flag as you are my state of origin. And much like New York, the state, you are overshadowed by a major city within you, but unlike New York, you don't really have that kind of iconography that's flag-worthy. Like, what am I supposed to put on there? The bean? The only other thing is Lake Michigan, and since we're on the idea of using bodies of water to define the state of the shape, in the west there is the Mississippi River, which kind of gives that curved shape. But since we can't just completely ignore Chicago, here's a star from its actually good flag design, along with another star from behind to bring the total number of points to 21 for you being the 21st state in the Union. The star is definitely fine, and as far as the rest of the flag, there's nothing actually vexillologically wrong with it, so I'm going to give it a B. West Virginia. Honestly, all I thought about was the song, you know the one. Also coal. So this was my attempt at somehow getting a mountain, a country road, and coal all on one flag. It just so happens that coal itself is black, but the marks for steel depict coal with a yellow diamond star. Roads are typically black with a yellow line in the middle, and the straight road going off in the distance kind of looks like a triangle that can be used as a mountain. So add some hardy green and there you go. B tier. And now we get to one of the ones that people have been waiting for. And following Gray's own instruction, I did in fact put the only 2 words that deserve to be written on a flag in the requested impact font. This flag, of course, being Nevada. It features those 2 words of battle born with a slightly altered version of the banner from the old flag, atop a silver star for your silver mines, with blue for the Union in which you joined during the war, with the red symbolizing either the desert or the blood of the war, with the angle on the left side of that red actually being the same as the one found on the iconic shape of your state. And if Arizona's copper star gets an A, then a silver star with battle born written in impact font atop of it gets an S tier. Louisiana. Here's a fleur-de-lis with your star and the Union inside of it. It's simple and much Louisianica. A tier. Washington. You are the emerald state, so I kept the green and made the star an emerald. Plus your coastline with the notch in the northwest of your state is kind of iconic as well. And northwest on a 2D plane of a flag is the top left. And in America, we like blue boxes in the top left. So it wrote itself. B tier. Oklahoma. I kept the cool drum idea along with the green for the olive branch on the left and the pattern on the right to represent the peace pipe. And you got yourself a B tier flag. The Carolinas. If you watched Gray's video, which is presumably why you're watching this, then you know what's going on here. A tier for both. New Jersey. To be honest, I totally forgot about you. I thought I was done with this whole project, and then I went and did a count to make sure I'd done all the flags, and I couldn't figure out why I was one short, and I scrubbed through Gray's video twice before it hit me that it was you. But anyways, you are the Garden State, so here's a flower along with your star and the Union inside of it, and here's some orange for Jersey Shore, as well as a blue for the ocean. It's alright. B tier. Now for New York. Torch of Liberty with olive branches should be very much Empire enough. Also, that area in the middle wasn't supposed to be a hexagon. It's actually a diamond that would not fit. Much Empire, much America, A tier. If New York the state or the city want it, well, the city paid $4 million to get told that trash cans exist. So considering this flag is much more of a revelation than that, with how much tourism dollars from trinkets you could sell with this flag on it, I'm going to say 100 million and it's yours. And finally, Florida. Funny enough, out of all the flags, this was the one I made first, and I had made it months before I made all the rest, which is why it isn't in the 2:3 ratio that all the others are. Now, the shape of the design is from the current flag with the cross and the circle from its seal. And Florida is known for its oranges, so here's an orange, which is inside a 27-pointed star for Florida being the 27th state. And inside that shape from the cross and the circle of the seal is light blue and a dark blue, which represent the Gulf and the Atlantic Ocean respectively, along with the green in the center being Florida itself. So now the sunshine of your state can shine down upon an S-tier flag. And we're done. If you made it this far, thank you for watching. And if for some reason this does well enough to the point that Gray himself is watching this, hello. And Gray, if you feel like it, if you want to make a video of your opinions and critiques of my designs as well as how I rated them, feel free. And everyone else, feel free to do the same in the comments section. Also, before I end the video, I just kind of want to do a point of order kind of thing. This wasn't intended to be the first video on this channel. I decided to push this forward only because Illinois, of all places, is about to open up submissions for a flag redesign, so I wanted to get this out before then. And I will say I will not be partaking in the submissions for the redesign. This is for a few reasons, and other states should pay attention to this as well. First is that the commission says that the state will take ownership, which is understandable because it will be the state's flag. However, nowhere does it explicitly state that the designer will retain credit for the design. Also, it mentions that the submitted designs may be edited by the commission, which, you're not artists, please don't touch the designs. That's how Minnesota ended up sort of botching their flag redesign in the end. And finally, and also kind of most importantly, I don't see anything about compensation anywhere. And contrary to popular myth, artists aren't paid with exposure, they're paid with money. And if you can spend millions and billions of dollars on projects that never seem to actually achieve anything and it's just a bunch of wasteful spending, then you can pay for a new flag. So I will not be submitting my design for you to commandeer. And neither is anyone allowed to submit my design on my behalf or to submit my designs as their own. Okay, now we're actually done.